Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to A Previous Affair, where we bring you the most accurate news in the world. I'm your host, TJ, with my good friend and co-host, Akhilesh.
Hello, guys.
Today's going to be a good one, folks. We've got a cracker of a topic here today, so sit back, relax, get some popcorn, give your kids some sleeping pills so you can enjoy the show. But before we begin, we'll take you to Emily with the weather report for today.
Have been spotted in the water here in Blackrock and Salt Hill both today and yesterday.
Sorry about the interruption. Anyway, Akhilesh, what will we be talking about today?
Have you heard of this up-and-coming technology, synthetic yeast?
Yeah.
Well, if you haven't, we've got some interesting topics to bring light today. And if you have, maybe you'll learn something here today.
Well, anyway, for those of you viewers wondering what synthetic yeast is, well, it is one of the most important developments in synthetic biology in modern scientific history, to put it quite simply. It is a genetically engineered strain of Saccharomyces cerevisiae. It's a mouthful. The most widely used species of yeast in genetic biology. It is designed to be more stable, efficient, and versatile than natural yeast, which acts as a framework for scientists to manipulate the genomics of yeast to solve various problems. It has shown its potential in quite a few cases, which we're going to discuss here today.
Looking forward to that, TJ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you said synthetic, right?
Yeah, it's good to know your ears still work, mate.
Good one, TJ. But what I'm trying to say is, the words synthetic and biology tend to not exactly go hand to hand. One means a plant and one's fake. So, what are the ethics involved?
Well, that actually is a really good question. Let's ask the viewers with this poll. Use the number on your remotes to vote. What do you think?
Wow, seems like quite a large number of you are unsure. Let's clear that up for you.
Well, researchers working with this technology usually ensure that the modifications made to the yeast genome do not cause harm to the yeast or other organisms in the environment. Scientists will weigh benefits against the risks involved in specific synthetic yeast experiments. Overall, synthetic yeast can be ethical when conducted with responsible practices and takes into consideration potential risks and benefits. So viewers, you have nothing to worry about.
Now, there's an important part of this called drug discovery. Now, since we are clear on the ethical front, thank you, TJ, let's talk about one of the hundreds of applications that synthetic yeast has emerged to try to solve. That being drug discovery. Many of you, including my friend TJ over here, may be scratching your heads wondering how this fake yeast helps us find pharmaceutical drugs. Well, let me break it down for you.
Synthetic yeast helps us understand the mechanisms behind a certain drug. By doing so, scientists can modify the drug agent to target a specific protein in the body, making it more specialized. This, of course, is an oversimplification.
So you're telling me that this yeast can be artificially created to make specific pharmaceutical compounds?
Exactly right, TJ. This yeast is bioengineered, and this means that it can produce complex compounds which make up the drugs we use today in medicine. The specific genes are introduced by scientists to help us make these chemical pathways to create drugs. Now, let's go to some actual results to see if this yeast actually did its job. A total of 35 yeast extracts were used for the formation of 74 drug-relevant structures. Of these, 28 compounds, or 38%, exhibited increased activity. This means that the yeast actually performed its job and was able to create exactly what the scientists were looking for.
Well, this is all good news, but where does this all go from here?
Glad you asked, TJ. The efficient construction of chemical structures by yeast for drug discovery enables scientists to mass produce effective medication to treat illnesses.
Wow.
I can't lie, TJ, all this science talk has me a bit bored. Let's start with some history for all you old people there.
In 1921, Canadian scientists Frederick Banting and Charles Best discovered insulin and began using it to treat patients with diabetes.
Let's start with how this all began. Initially, the baker's yeast was analyzed for the host of production of proteins. This is because of how common it is, and scientists thought that it would be a good starting point. What are recombinant proteins, TJ?
Well, before you go, Aki, how is this generic baker's yeast going to help in fighting diseases? It's not like bread helps me fight cancer. Right?
Well, you're absolutely right, TJ. This isn't just a regular protein though. It's one that scientists have actually changed up in the lab. This yeast was actually a perfect fit for the production of these proteins. Scientists showed that the yeast was able to produce a modified hepatitis protein designed to aid the treatment of hepatitis B. The study showed that in the sample, 13.8% of infants aged between 6 and 8 months demonstrated increased immunological activity. The significance of this research is that by finding is the potential capability of synthetic yeast biology to promote the increased efficacy of vaccines against diseases such as hepatitis B. This shows that it's actually possible to use common baker's yeast, like TJ mentioned, as an important tool in fighting diseases that currently affect us. Well, viewers, although this technology is being developed and we still need to take a while, it is something that we should be optimistic about as we progress in the medical field.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, so synthetic yeast can use recombinant DNA technology to produce a variety of therapeutic agents, which is just fantastic for the field of medicine and biology. Well, I think it's also interesting to note that this recombinant DNA technology can also be used in the method to allow synthetic yeast to act as a method of drug delivery. If done successfully, this will allow doctors and scientists to direct where your medications should go in your body, even when they should be released.
So they'll be able to finally stop your partner from yelling at you for not taking your meds. You'll be taking them without yourself knowing.
Ha, that's exactly right, Akash. But on a more serious note, this is actually being experimentally tested right now. Scientists and research have found out they can manipulate the receptors on the cell wall of synthetic yeast, allowing them to bind to the cells where the loaded nanoparticles and drugs within the yeast can be periodically released. More brilliant scientists also figured out that you can use synthetic yeast to make whole recombinant yeast vaccines, simply due to the compatibility of the yeast with a lot of biological agents and the fact that yeast does not promote an immune response to the body itself. This proves that synthetic yeast has the potential to become a highly effective drug delivery system that has the potential to assist in the treatment and cure of a variety of diseases.
Well, TJ, what types of diseases would this be able to help with?
Well, that sort of nudges me on to my next point, as synthetic yeast, along with the drug delivery systems, are being researched today to treat diseases like cancer, which have a drastic impact on worldwide health. Researchers are experimenting with the viability of using hydrophobins, which are examples of products of synthetic yeast technology, as a method of drug delivery that increases the uptake of the drugs within human cancer cells. Further experimental research and clinical trials are required. However, it looks significantly promising for the future of cancer treatments, as it has been shown to be effective in treating pancreatic, colorectal, and non-small cell lung cancers. Furthermore, in another recent case, researchers had success in killing colorectal cancer cells that are specific somatic mutations using engineered strains of yeast, which is a fantastic direction of this emerging technology. Not only can yeast be used to directly treat cancer, but indirectly as well.
Oh, how does that work, TJ?
Fantastic question there. Well, synthetic yeast is being used to produce the chemicals that are commonly used in chemotherapy, which if harvested non-synthetically, requires a severe environmental impact. Using yeast eases the requirement from natural sources, which is even more useful with the increase in cancer rates as of recent. Well, it is just incredible how broad the applications of synthetic yeast are in this field. Let's make it broader for those of you at home as we get ready to finish this show off for the night and go home. Get this, synthetic yeast can also be used to treat infectious diseases, ones that run rampant throughout the world, malaria. So how did we do it? Well, scientists found a specific yeast strain that lives in the gut of the mosquitoes that transmit malaria and engineered it to produce a substance called KT during the growth stage of the mosquito, and that would kill it before it even has a chance to spread.
Well, TJ, I'm not having a go at the scriptwriters, but there's an awful lot of experimentation and not so many things going on, actually.
I agree.
I'm sure the audience is wondering, what's going on? What is the future of this technology?
Well, that is a very good question. Within the literature anyway, there is an immense number of positive impacts of the use of a variety of synthetic yeasts, as we've already covered today. However, more clinical trials and experimental evidence must be conducted to ensure that synthetic yeast can indeed be used for humans, as this is a gap within the literature. We need to make sure that this is an affordable technology, as this is a big piece of attention to synthetic yeast. We also need to explore hundreds of different possible combinations of gene edits, and just grasping all of that takes a lot of time and money. So yes, there hasn't been a real life use case yet, but with all of these benefits experimentally, there's no doubt that this technology will not go on to do wonders for the fields of bioengineering and medicine.
Thank you, TJ. What a beautiful closing from my host here. And just like that, I'm afraid it's all from us today. It's been a wonderful night here at the studio, and we hope that you can go on with your lives for the next few days and just appreciate the science just as we do. We hope that you have learned a lot about synthetic yeast, and we hope that it gets some of your thinking juices flowing. I was your co-host, and this is our host, TJ. And we wish you a good night.
See you all soon.